we are live. So, wait, real quick. How's my audio? Is everything all right? Can you hear me?
I can hear
you.
Am I clear? Hold on.
What?
We can hear you, but we can't see you at all.
Oh, really? Is that the problem? That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 298.
Impressive.
of American Werewolf. I am Michael Martin, the American Werewolf. In the house tonight, we've got Tony D, the local Piney and author of The Pineys. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, bro. Always good to see you. And we've got Bill 52 at Weathership Tango Delta. That's a nice hat you got on there, Bill. And that's all I have to say about that. So.
Okay. Hello. Thanks for having me. 298. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And we've got John K. Alvarez, Will to Fight in the War Room. So,
you can't. Yeah. It's the War Room.
We've already got a comment here. We've got, I think Dave stopped in earlier. Dave Freeman said, "No fighting in the war room."
That is the one line everyone remembers from this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right. We are
the war room.
To the end of February in our month of Stanley Kubrick. It's been enjoyable. Very enjoyable, actually. We started with 2001: A Space Odyssey, and that was good. And then we went into Eyes Wide Shut, where nobody made it. And I was there with some different fellas. I was there with Frank from The Harsh Truth in Tex. And we had a great time. That was right around the time the last drop of the Epstein files hit. And we were just dropping conspiracy theories and had our tinfoil hats on. And we just had a blast talking about that. And then last week, I was here with John, where we covered Paths of Glory, which is just, for me, and I'll get this out of the way now, I think the best film that I've seen Kubrick make so far. I haven't seen all of them, but it was just a fucking masterpiece with Kirk Douglas, and you're just like, holy shit, this is filmmaking, man. This is filmmaking. Now, we come to the end, and like Paths of Glory, this is a movie I had never seen before. We're talking about Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. So if you're ready to go, shall we get it going?
Yes.
Giddy up.
Boogie Boogie. So, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, from 1964, is directed by Stanley Kubrick, and it's a landmark black comedy. satirizing Cold War nuclear paranoia. Its production was filled with fascinating challenges, improvisations, real-world tensions, and creative decisions that shaped one of cinema's greatest films. Originally, the project began as a serious thriller. Kubrick optioned the rights to Peter George's novel Red Alert, a dramatic story about a rogue general launching a nuclear attack, and intended to adapt it straight. But as he researched nuclear strategy and mutually assured destruction, which is something us Gen Xers are definitely familiar with, he found the absurdity of the situation overwhelming. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 heightened real fears, and Kubrick shifted the tone to dark satire, co-writing the screenplay with George and Terry Southern. The film was shot primarily at Shepperton Studios near London from February to November 1963, partly because star Peter Sellers was going through a divorce and couldn't leave England. This is not streaming anywhere that I'm aware of. I went out of my way and found a reasonably priced DVD of this. I think it's Criterion also, but I wasn't sure what I was going to think of it and if I wanted to spend Criterion money. And I'll get into that in a little bit. Let's go with John. Let's start with John first. Initial thoughts of the film.
This is one of my top 10 films that I thoroughly enjoyed. I first saw this when I was 12 years old, actually. And when I sat down to watch it, my father sat down with me. And for Michael, I know you know, I'm from a large family. For those of you, I'm the ninth out of 10 kids. And quite literally, every time one of my siblings would come into the TV room and see what we were watching, if they didn't stop and watch it, they said, "Oh, this is good. I'll shut up," and walk out type deal. I was stunned by this movie. I could not get over how much I laughed at it and how much it terrified me at the same time. And I'll wait till we get to the one point when I pointed out there was at one point I was actually cheering to see something, to see if they would make it type deal.
Okay.
But to me, it's great. This is one of my top 10 films.
Okay. Let's do something a little different. Tony, what do you got for us? What do you think?
What I think is this is probably Kubrick's, his best film. And the reason I say that is it's the hardest film to make because it's a satire. And satire is really tough to do. It's also a comedy. Comedy's really tough to do. And, you know, anybody who's looked at Kubrick, he's not a comedian. He's not a comedy writer at all. And yet he pulls it off. He pulls off the timing. He had, of course, the brilliant Peter Sellers, who did some improv on the set, especially towards the end. And, you know, it's just amazing that something this complicated, because, you know, when you do a drama, you just heighten the drama. That's it. When you do a horror movie, you heighten the scares and the horror. That's pretty much it. But when you're doing a comedy, you have to heighten the laughs, which is already incredibly difficult. And then with a satire, it has to be ironic at the same time. So it's really a balancing act. And at the same time, there is a plot to this that you follow. You know, you are following the characters. Will they be able to stop the destruction of the world? And it's just the most impressive movie. It really is.
Okay. Bill 52, what do you got for us?
I love this movie, man. I first saw it when I was about a sophomore in high school, watching it on the old VHS with a gang of kids that I hung out with. And we were all equally fascinated with all things military and Cold War. And a couple of us wound up going into the Air Force. And I actually grew up in this setting. I grew up on Air Force bases, not only Air Force bases, but strategic air command bases where the nuclear weapons were and where the B-52s were taking off every single day about 100 yards from my bedroom. So I know half of the guys in this movie in my blood. I grew up with them. They were my friends' dads. And this movie is 100% fascinating. I must have sat and watched it 30, 40 times since I was a little kid. I love it every single time. I always find something new to laugh at. Even the old jokes constantly resonate. And the fact that it's, it is so real because it's not only based on the book Red Alert, it's also based on a couple of incidents where we almost did go into nuclear war because of miscommunications and stuff. It's entirely fascinating, and it's a really great sort of snapshot into the Cold War.
All right. For my purposes, one of the reasons that I started to do things in this way, picking a director a month, you get the option to select films I get the option to select films I haven't seen yet. So last week, talking about Paths of Glory, hadn't seen it before. Watched it right before we went on, and I'm like, oh my God, like this is like perfect. 5. Went right out after that on the strength of Paths of Glory and found this DVD. Everybody knows Dr. Strangelove. Everybody does. Sat down, watched it just before we went on. Hence my delay a little bit today. Couldn't wait for it to be over. Didn't enjoy it. Now, we were discussing the other day as to whether, maybe it was yesterday, as to whether or not this would be better than Paths of Glory. Because I think someone in the texting group put up that Michael Biehn video where he was on somebody's show. And I said I would be stunned if this was better than Paths of Glory. I couldn't wait for this film to be over. Like, it was the longest 90 minutes of my life.
Wow.
Okay.
I felt that it's not the end of the world, man.
I know.
It's what you get for watching the movie right before you come
literally is the end of the world in the movie.
The 30 years after the Cold War, watching this for the first time and growing up during the Cold War, I just didn't feel the stakes. I just didn't. It was too far into the absurdist. And it was one of those things where, like, I hated every character, maybe except for the incarnation of Peter Sellers as the president. If they had dropped it, I would have been okay, which they did actually. I didn't find it to be funny. The humor just didn't land right. I'm like, okay, this is like the longest. Like I literally had to struggle to get through it. I was going to say fuck this movie, but I'm like, no, I can't do that because this is my show, and so we got to get through. So every once in a while, just like we did with Rushmore, you come into a film that you think you're really going to enjoy, and you find out that you don't. Them's the facts of life. It did have it has a great cast.
Yeah.
It has a fantastic cast. It has some really interesting shots. We'll get into in a little bit. And essentially, as we said earlier, it spawned a lot of other films that were sort of inspired by this, and we can get into some of those in a little bit. But just didn't love it. It didn't impact me.
Well, here's one way you could look at it. That part of the plot of the movie, spoilers everybody, hinges on that they had to stop the bombers from dropping the bombs on the Soviet Union. And the reason they absolutely have to stop it, because it will destroy everything, is because the Soviets have a new weapon. And once one bomb goes off, the weapon will be activated, and it will explode and spray cobalt all over the world, radioactive cobalt all over the world. It'll make the surface of the Earth inhabitable for 93 years. And it's an automatic thing, and the Soviets can't stop it. Like they don't have the capacity to stop it. And it's interesting because today they are talking about now making AI and putting AI in control of some of our responses in terms of nuclear war, in terms of other missile attacks. And it's a very similar thing. It's the same problem with, that happened in the Terminator, right? Skynet becomes sentient and then just decides to kill everybody. So it's to me, it resonates to today because of that technology. It's like we're going to let technology take care of everything, and regardless of the outcome, just so we can have this deterrent, or so we can have this defense missile system that it'll kill us all.
There's another movie and we'll get into this in a little bit too, but that came out at the same time called Failsafe. Now, Failsafe grabbed me.
Right.
And if you remember correctly, probably right after the Cold War was over with, they made a remake of that for television.
Right.
Richard Dreyfuss played the president. George Clooney was the pilot. Hot off the ER. He hadn't quite broken into film yet, but he was big enough that he got, that movie grabbed me. And I was like, holy, it's like that scared the shit out of me. And it was just, and it ends basically the same way. And I think I would have enjoyed it. And I understood that this was a black comedy, so on and so forth. And when we've discussed other black comedies before, like we talked about The Death of Stalin, I said it was a perfect film. I just didn't find it funny. I found it horrific. This I found horrific, but just for an entirely different set of reasons. But fantastic cast, fantastic shots. Hold on, John. I know we're going to get you in.
Oh no, my arthritis is kicking in.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, don't start balling up your fists. It's just a movie.
No.
Hey, it's everybody's shaking their fist at me. Calm down.
You will like this movie.
Slasher Fred here. What's happening, man? Watching this movie, you realize how it feels like a documentary movie on the Cold War, which was happening at the time it was made. Yeah, coming right after the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, people were... See, for me, I don't know that I was ever necessarily, even growing up, afraid of mutually assured destruction. I mean, it was on my radar. I knew that it was a possibility, but it wasn't anything that scared me to death. Now at 57... 40 years ago, and Reagan and, and Star Wars, and it didn't impact me that heavy. Hold on a second. If you watch the original theatrical trailer, it does not give much of the plot away, only shows a montage of flash images, which is a lot like the trailer to A Clockwork Orange, which my boy had said sucked yesterday, and then I thought that was funny. The ending song, We'll Meet Again, is a very touching song. All right, so, I mean, you've got this rogue general. I think he's played by, is it Robert Ryan? Who plays the general, and does he launch, or did he misinterpret something? To launch these fighter groups that are just always right on the perimeter of Soviet airspace. And they just go thinking that this is a real attack, and that America's been attacked. Interesting to see Slim Pickens, James Earl Jones, Peter Sellers. Peter Sellers was fantastic in this. Although I hated the Dr. Strangelove character. I loved him as the XO, the executive officer to Robert Ryan. I loved him as the president. But the whole.
I even loved him as the pilot. He's one of the people in the cockpit.
Is he really? Okay.
He was supposed to play Major Kong, but he was already playing 3 roles, and he refused to do 4 because he felt he couldn't do, as a British person, to do a proper Southern accent.
Right. And he was like one of the guys on the sidelines, just in a corner doing. I think he has maybe 1 line or 2. I think Stanley Kubrick famously said, because Peter Sellers got paid $1 million to play the part.
Yeah.
And he said, I got them. I got four characters for the price of six.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, in terms of the general, though, General Ripper is out of his
General
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out of his mind.
Yeah.
That's a key component of it. I mean, he sets all this up, and then
That's a given. That's what the OPE is all about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so is George C. Scott. And you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, he's just. But I loved, like, if we're talking about the film, the cinematography and the shot of Robert Ryan when he's chewing and smoking that cigar, and he's explaining to Peter Sellers that it's too late, it's all locked down, and he's had some sort of psychotic break. You know, he's talking about bodily fluids and like all this different shit, and you're just like, okay, this is kind of scary. Like Robert, and I've been a big fan of Robert Ryan. I love him in The Wild Bunch and just about anything else you can fucking watch him in. Yeah, I mean, that particular scene is good. From there, Slim Pickens and the crew, or the plane that you're sort of focused on, they're heading into Soviet airspace to drop this bomb. Peter Sellers is also the president, so, you know, they're gathered around the big round table, trying to figure out a way to stop this or not. Depending on how do you think that Kubrick was trying to say that the military was trying to push? I mean, is that the message? That, you know, was he
partly?
Hold on, wait, let me get the question out. Was he? I don't know the answer to this, so tell me. Was he anti-military?
In ways, yeah. I mean, he was definitely poking fun at all the stereotypes. He forced George C. Scott to be funny because George C. Scott originally wanted to play this very straight in the same way that Slim Pickens did, where he was trying to do it as a serious character. And Kubrick made him do exaggerated takes as practice, and he wound up putting all the exaggerated takes in as a way of poking fun at that military stereotype.
There's also a I'm sorry, Tony, were you going to say something?
I was going to say Scott was also Patton later on, right? And remember that famous scene from Patton where he's trying to convince over the phone that the president should keep the war going. And he says, don't worry, I can make it look like it's the fault of the Soviets. And it's very similar to his character here. You know, not so exaggerated, but pretty close.
Yeah. When Kubrick, I saw a documentary on Kubrick, and he was talking about when he was doing the movie Lolita. They Cuban Missile Crisis was happening. The German wall, the wall between East and West Berlin was going up, and he kept saying to people at the end of the shooting day, I hope I get this movie done before they drop the bomb on us. So it was kind of on his mind because he said he was terrified at it. And one of the reasons why he approached it comically was to diffuse his fear. That's kind of why he was, like, he got the guy who wrote the book, Red Alert, to explain a lot of the actual facts in it, like mega death and considerable losses. And by looking at it, he approached it humorously because he figured if he was terrified, others would have been. And if you kind of laugh at what you're afraid of, it kind of helps you get through it.
Yeah, exactly.
At least that's the way he said he was approaching it. Like I know George C. Scott argued about what he was doing with him because he felt like he was pushing him to go over the top. And later on, George C. Scott said this is one of his favorite roles, you know, on film. It's a weird experience because technically, if you look at it, they're dealing with serious situations, and all of a sudden you're finding genuinely comical moments in it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's the best target for comedy, right?
Yeah.
Because there's laughter for something that's just funny, but then there's that nervous laughter too, right? And when you combine those two, you get a wide swath of the audience. You get the audience who's not afraid at all. They're just laughing at something goofy. And you get the audience members go, oh my God, I can't believe you said that kind of laughter.
If you played this straight, it probably would have been a good movie. Probably would have been forgotten before the 60s ended. And we probably wouldn't be talking about it now. But because they took all that fear, all that tension, and wrapped it in a sugarcoating of laughter, this thing has endured for decades. It's a great movie.
It would have been Failsafe, which I think he actually sued that production because he claimed that they ripped him off. Failsafe came out like pretty much one right on top of the other.
Yeah.
But for me, Failsafe. It's just, but that's me.
The interesting thing, too, I think, is Peter Sellers plays those four characters, and each one's a little more ridiculous than the next. And they start out, I think they start out with the pilot, like him being in the background or whatever. Then they concentrate, I think, on the RAF officer, who's pretty serious. And then the president's in that mix, too. He's less serious, right? Like the president has that great scene where he's talking to the Soviet premier and he's drunk and he's trying to get him to sober up and listen to him, and he's just not, but he's trying not to be a jerk about it.
Right.
And then finally you have Dr. Strangelove himself, who's just so over the top crazy and represents all the Germans that we stole after the war. And that we, did put them into NASA and all those different places. And it's interesting to know, too, that a lot of the designs for some of the advanced aircraft we have were stolen from the Germans after the war. So the B-52 bomber, for instance, was actually based on a German design. It was this massive giant wings that was just a giant fuel tank designed to fly all the way to New York City, drop a bomb, and then fly all the way back. That's all it was designed for. They didn't know it was radar, blank or whatever.
You can't beat the scene where he's playing the president, where Sellers is playing the president, and he just keeps going, "You're not more sorry than I am. Why would you say I'm just as sorry as you are?" It's so deadpan and dead on, fucking silly as hell, and it just makes me laugh every time.
When he says to him, "Dimitri, could you please stop jumping up and down when you yell at me?" And for the life of me, that line still makes me, because you can't see it. How hard is this guy jumping up and down on the phone that he could hear it? I mean, there was moments like that, and I'm like, it's so absurd.
Yeah.
But then again, if you look at it, the whole concept of nuclear weapons and everything else was, Christ, even Einstein said it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can do it. The question is, should we?
Yeah. At the whole time, people who had no power were looking at these people with power who were constantly threatening to destroy all of us at a whim, and you had to have that release of laughing at it and seeing it lampooned, because the average person feeling that power, that lack of power, has to laugh at the powerful. Otherwise, they go crazy and start, attacking ICE officers or whatever. You have no release. You have to be able to laugh at power.
Yeah, this is the problem with comedy today, right? Like, we have this incredible tension in this country, but you can't really joke about it,
right?
Because people are too sensitive.
My wife and I wanted to watch a movie during the snowstorm last week, and we were scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. There's 115 new releases, not a single comedy to be found.
Yeah,
I don't make comedy.
That's something I've documented on my channel quite a bit. It was a couple of weeks ago. Three comedies dropped in the same week, and that was very unusual. I was very excited. One of the comedies, which I'm hearing is really good, is it was the new Sam Rockwell movie. It's called
Good Night, Good Luck, and Don't Die.
Don't Die.
Have fun. Have fun. Good luck. Don't die.
that one looked a little bit too disturbing to be a funny slapstick sort of comedy, like in the mold of like Superbad or something that you just giggle at.
But
Yeah, it's more of a satire of like social media and stuff, sort of like an AI apocalypse kind of thing. He goes back in time to stop.
right.
But there were two others too. There was also Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, which is based on a comedy TV show out of, I think, Canada. And then another one called Cold Storage, which stars one of the kids from Stranger Things and Liam Neeson. Looks like a wacky zombie bioweapon movie, which looks pretty standard. But like, again, there just hasn't been comedies because you can't make fun of a lot of these things. Like, how great would it be if they did a comedy about like woke stuff, like a real comedy about woke stuff, just ripping people for and even this ICE stuff and the protesters. There's just been some ridiculous protests that in my view are very ineffective, number one, and number two, they just look like idiots.
They make fun of it, but they won't. The backlash is just too strong anymore.
Right. And you've got a Hollywood studio system that has become so partisan as well. Like everybody in Southern California, like you can just map out their politics on most issues, no problem. And this is why you have so many problems with celebrities. They won't shut up about politics. They think they're absolutely right. And anyone who would disagree with them, well, we don't need them in our audience anymore. And it's been a real detriment to a lot of the projects that have come out because, I mean, you look at the Kurtzman Trek, the Starfleet Academy show. I mean, it's just getting absolutely hammered by anyone outside the box.
Why at this point people are still making Star Trek projects or Star Wars? Like what we need, and I want to get back into the movie actually. We need new projects. We need new ideas.
Sure. Yeah.
We don't need to keep retreading the same 60-year-old or 50-year-old things. This film, however, spawned a lot of other films and projects. And I'm thinking, Failsafe, which came out around the same time.
Yeah.
I never saw this. Mars Attacks.
Yes.
I heard this sort of spoofed it with the round tables and, these sorts of things. We had War Games. The inadvertent, like, nuclear attack was a big theme for a very long time. I mean,
here's one for you. Hunt for Red October.
Yeah, Hunt for Red October.
You telling me that you don't like this movie reminds me of when I saw Hunt for Red October, which was I was in a plane flying back from California in the middle of a storm, bouncing up and down, and watching this tense movie made me hate the movie, and I wouldn't watch it for 10 years. I wound up watching it on TV one night, and I went, why did I hate this movie? It's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Actually, I was fortunate enough, Mike, before I saw this movie, I read the book Failsafe.
Yeah.
So it was like literally, and I was talking about it with my dad, and he said, well, then you need to watch this movie, and sat me down to watch Dr. Strangelove.
Well, we also had
comparison. That's all.
There's been two fail-safe movies. There was the one that was made the same year as Dr. Strangelove, but the one that George Clooney was made in 2000.
And those are Sidney Lumet films. Did he direct both of them?
Let me check. I just had the link up.
I think
that was actually live on CBS.
Yeah,
definitely live.
He directed the first one, definitely, and the second one he did not direct.
Who did? Do you know?
Stephen Frears and Martin Pacetta.
Okay, I know those names.
We also had films like Crimson Tide. I own a copy of it. That was a good movie with Gene Hackman and Denzel. And my favorite Jack Ryan film, The Sum of All Fears. The one with Ben Affleck, where he plays just at the end of the Cold War. And they got the guy who sort of spoofs Boris Yeltsin, who just dies, like he just drops dead because he's so fucking unhealthy. And then they bring in like Kieran Hines as like the Putin-like character.
Right.
No, people inadvertently trying to start a world war. But I wonder.
Those movies are so earnest, though, Mike. Like you're bringing up all these really earnest movies.
Yeah.
I'm still locked on the comedy aspect of Doctor Strangelove. It reminds me a lot more of like Catch-22 than any of those movies.
Or MASH.
For me, that's an interesting point, because if you talk about Heller and Catch-22, I think this will be a better book.
All right, that's fair enough.
I think this will be a better book. Like, this will be a really funny book. But just to watch it play out visually, it didn't do any. I mean, some of the shots that Kubrick was using, when George C. Scott's at the table and he's explaining to Peter Sellers, who's the president, why none of Sellers' ideas work and why the whole plan is shit the bed. Really great shots.
Sitting there with a binder going deaths and mega deaths. It's hilarious.
I mean, there's the shot where George C. Scott trips and falls and tumbles.
That actually happened. That wasn't any. That wasn't he.
Planned. It wasn't choreographed.
They kept it in there.
Because
there was a recent movie about nuclear war in 2025. It came out. It got panned. I can't think of the name
of that movie. I know what you're talking about.
What was it called?
I'm trying to remember it now off the top of my head, because it was on Netflix. Is where I caught it.
Right.
Because it was told from 4 different perspectives. A bomb was being launched to Chicago.
Right.
They didn't know where it's from, and it's like the same 22 minutes of how fast we react to it. The one girl that was in no, Idris Elba's in it. I'm trying to remember the actress that was in Mission Impossible.
It's not the video game movie.
Yeah. No, it's a really. I was surprised when I was watching it, saying, because basically it's from 4 different perspectives, but it's the same 22 minutes of reacting to this missile coming.
House of Dynamite?
That's it, House of Dynamite. It's based on a book that came out.
Yeah, he's the president, Matt.
I don't think that anybody after Gen X can really appreciate what the Cold War was.
No,
exactly.
They're just like, if you were to show this to your kids today, like, if you're a teacher or whatever, they'd be like, "What the fuck? Can we please turn this off? Just stop!"
Through the Cold War, can't appreciate what the Cold War was.
But if you turn around and make it a biological weapon, they might turn around and catch that.
Or you could have a terrorist attack. They're bringing a dirty bomb, and there's always variation. But by and large, the whole scare has kind of been removed from the board, and now people are talking about rebuilding nuclear reactors to power things.
Well, but it's the nuclear war is not off the table. The START treaty's done. Like, we don't have a treaty with Russia anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Putin just recently was threatening to use tactical nukes in Ukraine.
And about 6 months ago, President Trump saying we're going to start inventing different nuclear bombs. That was something he came back when he came back from
the hypersonic nuke.
Yeah.
I can see it.
So this, I have to say everything over new again, but it might come back around.
Yeah, Pakistan and India almost went at it.
The problem is it's so far removed from World War II, where we actually used one of these weapons, right? And it ended the war immediately. People were shocked by the devastation of the weapons. That aspect, I think, is the part that's so far removed that no one really remembers it, and no one understands just how bad it could be.
I think it's one of. I'm sorry, Tony.
I was going to say, like, and movies are partly to blame for this. There have been all these movies where, the day after, where like people survived the nuclear war, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that, they're not in great shape, but they survive, right?
Right.
People don't understand. You won't survive a nuclear war.
They don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, you'll be, if you're anywhere near the radius, you'll be hit by 500-mile-an-hour winds, and you'll be killed instantly. You'll just be done. You could be in a closet in the basement, completely sealed up, and the flash will blind you, assuming you even survive. So you'll be blind even if you survive. There'll be radiation everywhere, so you'll be dying even if you manage to survive the blast. And then even the people who survive the blast and are out of the radius far enough away, there's going to get radioactive fallout. So the moment that starts raining down, they're effed. They're never going to be able to find a source of water without radioactivity in it after a few hours.
Dogs and cats living together.
See, you're making a joke about it, but it's
true. There was a guy who gave a lecture at Stockton who was talking about, with all the nuclear buildup, he said, and this is in the middle of the Cold War, where he said all you need is 50 bombs to go off at once, and we're done. Because of the fallout and everything else. I think it's also one of the reasons why Oppenheimer was very popular. People thought about, oh, we're going to see the explosion, but when I was working at a movie theater, I saw a lot of, especially younger people. I'm 61, so young is, relative, but they kept coming back and they saw it 2 or 3 times. There was one young lady who was about 28 who saw it she told me she saw it 17 times, and I looked at her and she goes, and she went, well, that's what I said. I said to her, are you okay? And she said, I initially saw it because I liked the movie. Now I'm seeing it because I'm scared. And I'm like, well, good. I think that was Christopher Nolan's point. I think something like that, and I hate to say it, that means this movie might get popular again only because it'll come back around. That fear might be there.
Right.
And we'll have Bill making jokes.
I don't think this movie's coming back around again. I think it stays here in the Gen X circle. And I guess before us were the baby boomers, that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't see this branching out.
I think the other part of it, too, is the Soviet Union, right? This was a movie that was one of the early movies that portrayed the Soviets as a bunch of goofs. So prior to this, all the Soviet characters were always portrayed as very evil, despicable. I mean, you can see it in the James Bond movies where there are Soviet guys, or Spectre. They're supposed to be the Soviets, really, and they're portrayed as these guys are going to kill you. But like in that movie, they're not. They're kind of portrayed as a bunch of drunken morons, and people just see that, I think, out of context and just go, well, how bad could it be? And I also think people today, they don't understand, and this is a phenomenon that happens with people who travel overseas, right? They think everywhere, basically, people are the same. And they could go to a foreign country, they could travel around, and they're relatively safe. If they get confronted by somebody, they'll just talk their way out of it. But really, there are parts of this world where it's very scary. There was this couple that I saw a video about. They were from San Francisco, and they wanted to travel around the world and prove on their blog that everybody was basically the same. And so they went to one of the stands, I forget which one, and they were brutally murdered. They were brutally murdered by some gang on the road somewhere. And it's just like, holy crap. And there's been this rash of women going overseas, especially to places like India, where they got a real problem over there with female tourists, and they end up getting assaulted, and it's a real problem. And people don't understand that different parts of the world are very different. They're not just a little different. It's not just different food. It's going to be like the whole system is different.
Yes.
Hold on a second. Let's see. Slasher Fred, even though it is an all-male cast, there is a sexy female model. Now, Peter Sellers' character. No, it's George C. Scott. George C. Scott.
Yeah, Peter Sellers probably slept with her when we were alive.
It's probably his wife that he was getting divorced from. Mars Attacks is a funny movie directed by Tim Burton. It's a parody of the 60s alien invasion movies, mostly Earth versus the Flying Saucers.
Slasher Fred also mentioned that this is one of James Earl Jones. I think it's his first movie or one of his early movies.
Yeah. You could tell that voice right away. You heard that voice right away. There was also a movie that came out in 1970 called Colossus: The Forbidden Project.
Thank you.
Precursor to War Games.
War Games was great.
I was gonna say that one. Mass Hysteria.
We got Kill Red 40. I don't know. I'm younger, and I was raised on As the Wind Blows.
Oh yeah, Wind Blows is
remember that
fantastic. I showed that to a bunch of friends of mine, and they were flabbergasted. They had
We
never
know
thought.
nukes are bad, maybe not as intensely as Cold War kids, though. It's never been one of my big, like, nuclear war. It's just not on my, it's never really been on my radar. Other things, of course, yeah, sure. Terrorist attacks in that sense, like someone bringing a nuke into the country for a terrorist attack, but like somebody, like another nation state lobbing a missile, I don't see it because it's suicide.
Right.
Like, when you're just like, well, it's not going to be China. It's not going to be Russia. Putin's not suicidal because Putin's about Russia. Putin's not about Putin. Putin's about Russia. So his whole country would be like, a parking lot after that. If there's a nuke, then, coming in like as in the sum of all fears kind of way. That's just my take on it. It's not something.
The interesting thing about the Russian-Ukraine war is the use of drones. And one of the great stories about drones and robots, basically, being used in war was written by Philip K. Dick. And they based the movie Screamers after. If you've ever seen Screamers with Peter Weller.
I never saw it.
Oh, well, you got to read the story. Like, the movie's, man, but the story is amazing.
Okay.
And it really brings this sort of dark pall over, the idea of technology and robots. Because the idea is the Screamers are these tiny little robots that just fly at you and they burrow into you and kill you. And you're screaming when it happens, right? They just like, ah! So, it starts off with that, and then both sides make their own factories that automatically produce these Screamers that run around and just kill people. It's not, the story's not called that, but I highly recommend Philip K. Dick if you want to read some dark dystopian Cold War fiction.
Huh?
What's it called?
We did Scanner Darkly, which we covered.
did Scanner Darkly. I started it, but I didn't get to finish it. The Man in the High Castle. It's about the inversion of World War II. Hitler gets the bomb first and launches immediately on New York and D.C. before we can respond. The Japanese invade the West Coast, and it's like 20 years later. We lost the war and we're being occupied, except for the center, because America is so fucking big. They just don't have enough soldiers to police the whole thing.
Right.
Just a great and it was a great series. That was a great series as well.
Well, that goes back to your story, Mike. If you're talking of all these scary things, this is where comedy comes in. If we didn't have comedy with all these things, we would just spend our time inside the house, afraid to go outside.
We don't have time.
Inside the house. I see your point. I'm just saying that this movie didn't do it.
And I understand that, and not a complaint about it.
Yeah, I
It's
love
okay,
comedy.
Mike. Dark humor's like food in the Soviet Union. Not everyone gets it.
They put me some
Or
borscht.
toilet paper.
Boom! Come on. That was funny.
He's not getting humor.
Yeah. Anyway, so Slasher Fresh says the movie The Avengers, which was based on the classic spy series, stereotypes the Soviets as villains. I think, as we're talking about, the repercussions of a nuclear attack, I think the most accurate, because then you always had the post-apocalyptic films. That's a whole other genre of film, the Road Warrior and Mad Max and, all that. But it's Cormac McCarthy's The Road, which is 10 years later, and there are very few people left, and there are no pets left and everything, because everyone's killed all the pets and eaten them 10 years, into this thing. And, they filmed it in all these natural disaster sites, like where Mount St. Helen erupted. And, it's some of the areas where Hurricane Katrina, they still hadn't recovered from, and, that kind of thing.
And they just missed the Palisades.
Hold on a second.
Kill Red is tweeting away.
Yeah, no, hold on. I need to read Philip K. Dick. I've heard Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is good. Yes, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's a very good movie.
Blade Runner.
And Blade Runner, he made he went on to Total Recall, the films that became Total Recall, Minority Report.
The Soldier.
Yeah, just fantastic stuff. I need to watch Doctor Strangelove a couple. You can have my copy. DM me, I'll give you
You should watch it more than once or twice.
The line, "You'll have the answer to the Coca-Cola company," always got me there.
Same here. I'm
That's
sorry.
a great
It
line.
got me too.
Even the names in this movie are fantastic. That
Colonel
guy's name is
Bat
Major Bat Guano. For God's sake.
What's the president? What's the Soviet president's name?
Dmitri
Filimov?
something.
Kissel or something. Some shit.
Hold on, I can look it up.
Mandrake is a barbiturate made out of a certain root that the British used to take all the time in that era. Turgidson, I mean, come on, Buck Turgidson, hilarious.
I think that every once in a while, this is something that's just going to happen for me. Though I'll run into something that, like, I didn't care about Rushmore all that much. I didn't like it.
Another one, shame on you.
Just didn't. I was like, nah, I hate this fucking kid. I hate Schwartzman's character. Someone should drive a stake through his
He was
heart.
like Ferris Bueller. We got it.
Yeah, remember I said, now, the take is that Ferris Bueller was the villain, and he is. He is. He's a fucking psychopath. But
You're trying way too hard. You're going to put this on, and you're going to have no deadline, and you're going to get it. It's going to be awesome.
AI told me that the name of the Soviet premier is Dmitry Kissoff.
Yeah, Kissoff. That's it. Kissoff. Yeah. It's not going to. I don't see myself ever being in a position where I need to watch this again and give it another shot.
That's very
sad.
sad.
I think I own a copy of Rushmore now. I said maybe a year from now I'll try it.
What are you going to do next? Kick a bunch of puppies?
Yeah.
That's terrible, Mike. Maybe you need to watch the Pink Panther movies.
Now see, that was something I thought of. I was like, we need to get to some Blake Edwards. I would love to talk some Pink Panther with his manservant Kato. Waiting for him in the refrigerator. All that kind of shit. Yeah.
Not now, Kato.
I don't want to die tonight.
The phone is ringing.
Now,
I'm sorry, does your dog bite?
No. I think your dog did
I
not
thought you
bite.
said your dog didn't bite.
How
That's
sad
my
is it?
dog.
They tried to remake the Pink Panther. It's
Oh,
so sad.
Steve
Martin?
Yeah.
Steve Martin, if Peter
Awful.
Sellers didn't do it, Steve Martin would have been credited. He did okay, but you can't beat Peter Sellers.
Well,
Right.
you also couldn't beat Herbert Lom as Dreyfus, his superior officer, man. Herbert Lom was fucking great. He's a great actor. He's actually a great actor. When we covered Hammer's Phantom of the Opera, I forgot it's played by Herbert Lom. He plays the Phantom. That's a great story. That's the Hammer interpretation of the Phantom is a great story. And Michael, who's the guy who was the butler in Adam West Batman?
Oh,
I know who you mean.
I know what you're talking about.
Is it Michael Gow or he plays the asshole in that one?
Right.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we'll have to get to some Blake Edwards sometimes. All right, so believe it or not, I'm not sure how much we've talked about Dr. Strangelove, but we're 53 minutes into this thing.
I'll keep talking about it.
Well, that's what I'm going to get to. Is there anything in this film that we have not discussed that you would like to get into?
One thing.
John, go ahead. Yeah,
I noticed even though it was a comedy, I found myself feeling. I know you probably didn't, Michael, but I found myself as the story was going along and the plane was getting closer to the drop point, I felt myself getting nervous. But then again, I also found myself cheering for the pilots. I wanted to see if they would make it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was 12 years old, and it was weird. It was conflicting when I was younger, and I still get that same feeling that, because you know what's going to happen, everything else, but you're going, God damn it, this is America. Fly, boys. And that whole thing, So when it comes to the very end, where he's riding the missile
Well,
on
George
the
C.
way
Scott
down,
has that whole scene where he's talking about
the
how
plane coming
you'll never
in
stop
green.
our bombers. They'll get them right in there and
Yeah.
avoid those with radars. And
Can he do it? Hell, you! Ooh.
so funny.
I have a question. I have a question for the panel.
Yeah.
Would the movie have changed had it been shot in color? I have my thoughts on it, but you guys think about
I
it.
think it would have changed.
The B-52 scenes would have looked a lot more Godzilla-like because that model is not the best.
Yeah,
They didn't have that much of a CGI budget. So it looks better in black and white.
You also have the advantage of it being black and white to look like the documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that speech in the beginning, and in the original. I don't know if they still have it sometimes when they're
Slasher Fred,
but there's a voiceover.
Slasher Fred mentioned that too. He mentioned the documentary look of it. I also think it looks more like a war movie in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helps it rather than hurts it. I think if it had been in color, it would have been a completely different movie. And I don't think it would have been as funny because it would have been too grounded.
Yeah.
You know? It would have been less like a cartoon. I feel like the black and white gives it more of like a Three Stooges look.
Exactly. Yeah. Or a Dream.
Well, it's a Three Stooges kind of movie. Hold on a second. The U.S. military's reaction to Dr. Strangelove was largely negative, defensive, and dismissive, viewing it as an unfair, implausible caricature that undermined public confidence in nuclear command and control during the height of the Cold War. Stanley Kubrick's black comedy satirizing nuclear brinkmanship, rogue officers, and absurd military logic sparked controversy right away. It portrayed a deranged Air Force general, Jack D. Ripper, launching an unauthorized nuclear attack on the Soviet Union with hapless or hawkish officers unable to stop it. This hit a nerve because, one, the U.S. Air Force, particularly Strategic Air Command, refused to cooperate with Kubrick during production. They did not access facilities, aircraft, or technical details, arguing the premise of a rogue general triggering a nuclear war was impossible and insulting to their safeguards in personnel discipline. Two, public denials from high-ranking officials was sharp. General Curtis LeMay, Air Force Chief of Staff, a real-life hawk, seen as inspiring aspects of the film's militaristic characters, publicly denounced similar scenarios in Failsafe, a more serious 1964 film with overlapping themes, as deliberate lies, and insisted, quote, nothing like that could happen, end quote. The same logic applied to Dr. Strangelove.
The lady doth protest so much because it happened at least twice.
Hold on. Three, the Air Force produced a propaganda response in 63-64. They created an unclassified documentary called SAC Command Post, part of Special Film Project 1236, to directly rebut the film and Failsafe. It emphasized presidential control, rigorous procedures, and the near impossibility of unauthorized launches, essentially assuring the public there was, quote, no chance of a Dr. Strangelove type rogue general starting World War III. This was part of broader efforts to counter Hollywood portrayals that questioned nuclear safety. Four, broader military and Pentagon unease stemmed from the film's timing, post-Cuban Missile Crisis, and realism. While publicly dismissed as farce or Soviet propaganda, some insiders, like nuclear planner Daniel Ellsberg, privately found it disturbingly accurate, almost a quote documentary on command vulnerabilities. Declassified information later confirmed that until safeguards like permissive action links were strengthened post 1960s, rogue actions were more feasible than admitted. Critics outside the military sometimes call them more dangerous or quote contemptuous of our defense establishment, echoing official defensiveness. No outright ban on military screenings is documented, but the film's anti-authority satire made it unwelcome in official circles, much like how the military avoided cooperating or endorsing it. In hindsight, the film's warnings about human error, delegation risks, and overconfidence in systems proved prescient. Example, real, quote, broken arrow incidents and pre-PAL vulnerabilities, but at release, the military stance was clear, denied, deflecting, countered with reassurances that everything was under control. The satire stung because it exposed absurdities many in uniform preferred not to laugh at.
Yeah, you got to remember, my dad flew a B-52 for 5.5 years, and right above his workstation in the plane, someone had written in Sharpie, remember, you're flying in a plane built by the lowest bidder. So that shit does and can happen. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
What I'm hearing is we haven't had a nuclear war yet just to prove this movie wrong.
That's very funny. And Mike, did you read about how they were able to build the plane in this movie?
I got rid of the. I cut my.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Desktop. No. Go ahead.
No, the Air Force denied them any plans or blueprints to do it. And the set designers built it off a picture that was taken in one of the planes for a British magazine. And when the Air Force authority came in to check the specs for the film, they actually questioned him because he got it exactly right just by looking at the camera or the photo.
You can understand the military not wanting to cooperate with this.
Oh, God, yeah.
They are defensive, and usually if they do participate, it's in something that has something to do with the military being portrayed in a heroic light. Let's say like Black Hawk Down, or something like that, in which case you get the full like military. Right. Yeah, sure, you want to tell that story.
Well, right.
Now the military practically runs Hollywood. They get all sorts of access as long as the Pentagon can look at the scripts ahead of time and improve and improve them. It's ridiculous. They are far. This is one of the problems in Hollywood. They are far too cozy with the military and I would say the deep state. And this is why I think a lot of films just end up being propaganda. You look at the only recent controversy was Tom Cruise Maverick. They were originally going to erase one of the patches on Tom Cruise's jacket. And then at the last minute, it was such an outcry, they put it back. But one thing I just thought of, Jack the Ripper, yeah.
Exactly.
I would much rather be talking about Jack the Ripper. Go ahead.
Here's the thing you guys might not know, since we didn't bring it up yet, but I was exactly today years old when I realized and found out that Kubrick had filmed an entire pie war in the war room that was supposed to be the climax in the war room, was everyone throwing pies at each other. And he spent 3 days filming it, rehearsing it, and then he just scrapped the entire thing. But there's pictures of the production with Sellers with pie all over his face, which would have been fantastic, but he didn't want to go full, Three Stooges.
Three Stooges, yeah.
Why not at that point? I mean, really? I mean, did he think he was going to like serious the movie up? He should have.
It's a lot better ending to have there's a nuclear war and to hear that last song "We'll Meet Again" without the pie. Without a pie war. I mean, it would be great. Pie war is hilarious. It would go Three Stooges, but I think he wanted to make the final act of his movie to be a little bit serious and make the point that we're lampooning this stuff, but it's a problem. We could all die tomorrow if something goes wrong.
Sellers ad-lib, Sellers improv the last bit he did with Dr. Strangelove and Wheelchair. And I think he just wanted to preserve that because I imagine him behind the camera laughing his ass off at that moment.
I think that there was
Sellers couldn't keep a straight face half the time because all the lines he just cracked up.
Well, I think that Sellers did a remarkable job because he was Peter Sellers. But I mean, that one, it's this really weird scene where he's with Robert Ryan and they're storming the base to shut him down, but they don't even know why they're storming the base. But he starts talking about being tortured in World War II. And he asks him, he's like, did they break you? And he's like, they never even asked me anything. Like they just wanted to do it for fun. It was like they didn't want any information or anything like that. I just thought that was in the middle of all the ridiculousness, you had this like 60 seconds of seriousness which for me were maybe the only 60 seconds of seriousness in the whole thing that I caught. And I thought that was a really good scene. He goes, because these guys are coming to break down this door. And he goes, I don't know if they really start going at me, like how long I'm going to be able to, Robert Ryan's like, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to hold out. And he ends up killing himself in the bathroom so they can't get the code out of him. And then he just goes right back into, ridiculous mode again. But I thought that was a really good scene. So for me, the one thing that...
I think that explains why Ripper's so messed up. Why Ripper's crazy is because he was tortured.
Maybe. Did he say that he was? Like, I honestly was watching this, and I'm like, this is so bad. Most of the time, I found myself just looking at my phone. Like, I had no interest. I'm like, this, I like 20 minutes. I'm like, when, it was 20 minutes in. I'm like, when is something going to happen?
Shame.
Like, it's not funny.
Shame.
Dude, I'll wear a fucking sandwich board and walk down the street.
I won't. I won't shame you, Mike.
I don't care if you shame me.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, so out of, I suppose one of the strengths of this film is that it's just over 90 minutes, so it's not too long. And out of the entire 93 or 94 minutes, there was a 60-second scene where, that grabbed my attention. But for my take, if anybody wants to message me or text me and have me mail this to them, feel free. I'll be happy to ship it out to you. And I don't see myself.
Dimitri.
I might watch
Dimitri
it again.
Now.
You can, yeah. I'm jumping.
Don't jump up and down as you're selling your CD.
You got to try the movie again.
They planted that ridiculous camera on me.
I'm not against Black. I loved The Death of Stalin. I just didn't think it was funny. I just thought it was horrific. Because it
Death
was.
of Stalin's so great, too. I love The Death of Stalin.
Yeah. We covered that all. But, okay. Anything else?
I kind of like that he picked We'll Meet Again at the end when the bombs were going off. The way it ties to the British War. They used to sing that to them when they would go over into Europe for fight for World War II. You'll always come back, you always come back. I always thought it was ironic that as the world is ending, they're playing this song, well, you always come back, you always come back.
It's as impactful as Daisy in 2001. Knows how to pick them.
Feels a little bit like Fallout. That ending. Now looking at the video game.
Okay, let's get to the part in the stream where we rate the film. This channel has a rating system that goes from 0 to 5 up by halves. So 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5, all the way to 5. So 0, for example, would be I'd rather eat powdered sugar mixed with dandruff shavings rather than watch this movie again, all the way to 5, which is this is the journey, this is the destination, this is why I watch films in the first place. Tony D, the local Piney, what would you give Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove?
Oh, I give it a 5.
5?
100% 5.
5. All right, less than 6 and more than 4. That's a 5. Bill 52.
That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. That's a 5, an easy 5. It's definitely on my. If it's not on my top 10, it's in my top 20 films of all time.
All right, John K. Alvarez, fighting in the war room. What do you got for us?
When I still hear people talk about war or going to war, and I have lines from this movie still running in my head when I hear that, I got to give it a 5.
5.
It's really part of my life.
3, 4, 5. Okay, so we got 3 5s. That brings me to me, and I am.
And
going
that's
to
the
go
show.
with a 1, 2.
Are you in a 2? 2.
Why?
You turned that upside down.
It's better than a 1.
Why a 2? Because I'm a nice guy and I have a generous spirit. Okay.
He doesn't want to drink his own spit.
I'm a nice guy. Yeah, I don't put shavings in my fucking coffee. Yeah. Good cast, a few interesting shots, and a 60-second scene with Robert Ryan and Sellers. Great cast. But I just, like I said, it didn't grab me. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't feel any stakes. I didn't care if the American. It was so bad. I didn't. You know how what my politics are. I didn't even care if the Americans made it. I didn't care.
I applaud that you are brave enough to be wrong on your own podcast. Very good. That's fun.
And now he wanders back into the Pine Barrens.
I appreciate that you guys are just such a gleeful part of the majority, and that you can sit there and celebrate with everybody else that says the same thing about this movie. It's so great.
Buddy.
Unfortunately, not a great movie.
Well, thank God I didn't make Eyes Wide Shut.
And we had a lot of fun. This was better. This wasn't nearly as good as Eyes Wide Shut. Eyes Wide Shut was a better film than this. Paths of Glory. That was fucking fun.
Yeah. You and I are in total agreement on that one.
That's a fucking 5. 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's a fucking 5. It's not like I'm anti-Kubrick. We didn't get to Spartacus or Lolita or any of that other shit. And Kubrick is another guy that we can come around to because he's got an extensive body of work. And I'd be happy to talk about him somewhere down the road another month. What do you guys think of Barry Lyndon? That's a great question. Lyndon was going to be the movie I was going to add into this because it was going to be I think 3 movies I hadn't seen except for 2001. It was going to be Barry Lyndon. No, Eyes Wide. It was going to be Barry Lyndon, Dr. Strangelove, and Paths of Glory, and then 2001. But then the Epstein files dropped, and the comparisons about whether or not Kubrick was actually making sort of a satire and was trying to sound the whistle on these sex cults at the highest level, and the fact that Kubrick's film was actually edited. And I think Roger Avery went on Rogan and said that the original story for Eyes Wide Shut was that the room inside the room inside the room in that was actually a pedo room. And at the end of the film, Kubrick and Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman end up selling their child. They sacrificed their child to the cult. That's how it ended. And then Kubrick died, and they edited and chopped 20 minutes out of the film.
Wow.
Are you sure he died?
We had such a good time.
After they sold the kid, they had a pie fight.
Yeah, but that was the original story. It was a pedophile. There was the sex cult, and then there was the real room where the real shit went down, and that was about pedophilia.
Are you telling me that Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise agreed to do that in a scene? I find that hard to believe.
It doesn't work that way. What happens at the end of the film is that you can see that they're being followed, and he confesses everything to her about what he's done because she wasn't a part of anything that happened to him in the film. He confesses, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And they're shopping because it's a Christmas movie. It takes place during Christmas. And what she tells him is, look, maybe we should just be grateful you got away. Let's live our lives. I'm going to put this bullshit that kicked all this off aside. We're going to forget about what you did and just live our lives and be grateful. And the end of the movie is, I think we should fuck. And that's literally like the last line in the movie. But according to Roger Avery, who was on Rogan, when they're at the mall doing the shopping with the little girl, the 2 security guards from the house that have been following Tom Cruise around are walking away with the little girl. And according to what the original script was, the parents allow it. And that's how the film ends.
I can't imagine Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman would agree to do that. You know what I mean? Maybe it would have been the sort of way Kubrick would have shot it in such a way that he wouldn't have needed them to make that, implication. But I find it hard to believe that Cruise and Kidman would.
Well, it's acting. They're not really doing it. They're acting.
I know, but that's pretty damn dark.
It's a strong
man.
message to put out there.
Yeah, well, that was what Roger Avery was on Rogan in December of 2024, and he was talking about what really happened in that movie, and he went off on it for like 20 minutes, and he's like, suddenly he just like he hated that they wanted to edit it. He got strong pressure from the studios to edit the film, and he was shouting matches, "You can't cut my movie," and then suddenly he just died. Now,
I don't know. Tropic Thunder. That's the scene that I would have thought no one would ever do.
What scene?
The scene where he's playing the executive producer in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, with the big padded forearms and everything like that. Yeah.
Way more controversial than some sly nod to pedo rooms in a.
I don't know, man. I mean, if they had done it that way and that movie had been a hit, I mean, that would have tainted Tom Cruise, I think.
Well, here's the thing about that, Bill, and the difference is the tone.
Mm-hmm.
The difference in the tone between Tropic Thunder and Eyes Wide. There's no humor in Eyes Wide Shut at all.
Sure.
No.
And you're just like, this movie is fucked, man. And it's creepy, and what the fuck. And so to end that way is very, very serious. Whereas Tom Cruise, everything in Tropic Thunder, I mean, it's hysterical.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Kind of, yeah.
But they're doing a movie. The rumor is they're doing a spin-off movie with that character and Tom Cruise.
Oh wait, so let me get back to Kill Red. He's asking about Barry Lyndon. When the Epstein files dropped like 2-3 weeks ago, and that's when everybody started naming names. We switched out Barry Lyndon for Eyes Wide Shut, so we might come back to Barry Lyndon. I'm not sure if I have it for you. I'm sorry. All right, Tony D, plug something.
Well, of course, I'll be plugging The Pineys, Book 19, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. And don't forget, Book 20 coming out in March.
Really?
Yes.
Tony, can I ask how long you've been writing the Piney series?
Since 2018. I do 3 books a year.
Okay.
One in March, one in July, and one in October for Halloween.
Very cool.
Are you going to be in the area, Atlantic County area, anytime soon? Or
I am, actually. I will be at Di Matteo Winery or Vineyard on Saturday. That's Hamilton, New Jersey, 2 p.m. for my talk on how to hunt the Jersey Devil. So if you want to come out and drink some wine and hear me talk. And then on Sunday, I'll be at the AC Punk Show in Atlantic City from 12 to 6.
Okay. Dude, Tony, text me because I live like 5 minutes from Hamilton. It'd be cool to see you again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And if you want to get rid of your copies of those movies, I'll take
Who wants Rushmore? Jesus Christ!
I love both those movies.
Dude, I'll see you on Saturday.
I'll give you $1 to take this from me.
You can have them. I'll pay you to fucking.
Well, then shit, Tony, text me your address.
Like I just got this copy of Dr. Strangelove. All right, Bill, what do you got for us? Anything?
My band. You're not going to see this, are you? Yeah, there you go. The old Bottom Turns. We finally got a gig. We're playing March 20th in Red Bank, New Jersey at the Five Dimes Brewery from 7 to 10. Come out and see us. Surf instrumentals, nuggets, classics, the whole 9 yards, and beer. And it's free. And there's beer. And it's free, like I said, and there will be beer, and we'll be playing music, and you can drink beer while we play music.
Bill,
so,
Bill,
old bottom turns at the Five Dimes Brewery in Red Bank on the 20th of March.
I don't know. Is there going to be beer?
There's going to be beer. Lots of beer.
Bill, why don't you get a gig at like 10th Avenue Burrito?
Working on it.
Oh, you gotta get on it.
It's gotta be warmer. That's an outdoor thing, man.
Yeah, it is.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, it is. All right.
Your Long John concerts. I have nothing to plug, man. After last weekend.
How was your shows? How were your shows this weekend?
You know what? There were 10 original 10-minute plays that were being done. We had one coming from London, Oregon, Pittsburgh, Nashville, and several local performers or playwrights. I wound up being in 8 of them, quite by accident. One time, just to help the guy out for blocking, I was walking through it, and he said, "John, I'm firing myself and putting you in it." But then when the storm came in on Sunday, we pushed the show 2 hours early, and we did it without an intermission. And quite literally, as we were taking the bows, I looked up and said, "Oh, look, it's snowing," and it started snowing at Summers Point.
Oh, snap.
But it was like literally and after it's over, I'm sitting in the back seat of the guy's car, and he's going, "You all right?" I said, "I'm sleeping." I forget, that was 80 minutes of me running around stage, getting a little too old for that, without an intermission. But the Saturday show, we sold out the house, which was about 50 seats. It's a studio. But we had like about another 30, 40 on the online streaming service.
Oh, nice.
And if anybody's interested, if you look at the previous shows, you can still pick up the online streaming service and see the show.
Okay.
It was a blast. I was shocked how much fun it was and how the response we got from the people. It was really, really cool.
I'm surprised you're surprised.
Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, it wasn't as good as, Dr. Strangelove, but still.
All right.
Mike, plug something.
For this channel, Kubrick is over. The month of Kubrick is over. We are moving it to March. Jesus Christ, please let spring get here like yesterday. And more importantly, let's just get to 70 degrees tomorrow.
Please.
How about that?
Yes.
75 and sunny. Let's get to that tomorrow. And yeah, that'll happen. All right. So
get some of that San Diego weather.
Exactly. You know who I gave the finger to the other day? Mike Weinhofer. Because he fucking posted in the Keys that he got 15 inches of sunshine. So I gave him a 15-inch middle finger.
15 inches of sunshine. Nice.
Jerk. So,
yeah, but he lives in California, so.
No, he's in the Florida Keys.
Oh, wow, that's
Florida
nice.
Keys. He charts fishing boats.
Wait till the next hurricane hits.
Lizard people.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. So for this channel, next month, we move to the Coen Brothers.
Okay.
And we're starting off right away with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So if you don't want to watch the fucking Nolan film, you can always watch the Coen Brothers, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That's where we'll be. What else are we covering? I can't remember.
I love their song in that. That song is so great. Yeah. That's a great song.
I got to talk with that guy for 20 minutes at Stockton.
Oh, cool.
Paul and Jane and I saw him perform April Fool's Day, and he sat and did like a meet and greet. And when he found out I was a student on that stage, he was talking to me about it. It was like a 30-minute conversation with him.
Nice.
He was great.
Hold on a second. I want to find out. Let me give you the list because I can't remember.
I know it's Hail Caesar's on that.
Hail Caesar. Yeah, it's
Walk in the Woods.
Where Art Thou? Hail Caesar, which I haven't seen before. Miller's Crossing, which I haven't seen before.
Classic.
And True Grit.
What? No Serious Man? Jesus.
No Serious Man.
No Lauren Davis? Jesus.
He didn't do anything. We get it. All right, so that is it. We're moving $2.99. $2.99. And I know I said when we got to episode 300, we might consider doing like top 5 most favorite beautiful women, but not with this crowd, because if you want to talk about body fluids, people be slobbering all over the place. And yeah, that's
protecting your natural bodily fluids.
Yeah, there'll be tons of natural bodily fluids with this crowd. So we'll probably just stick it to a movie and keep it as such. My thanks to Tony. I got your message, Tony. It looks like I'll be seeing you on Saturday. That'll be cool. My thanks to Bill 52, and my thanks to John K. Alvarez. Hold on one second. We will see you all in the next